Hello again, fellow quilters, and welcome to Patchwork Quilts with Diane. My name's Diane, and I'd like to share with you what I've been doing in my sewing room this week. So if you fancy a little chat, grab a nice warm drink or a cold drink, depending on which hemisphere you're in, and I'll share with you what I've been doing this week. If you watch my last video, you'll see that I had a trip to Project Linus and I dropped off some quilts, but I came back full of enthusiasm and I made a promise to myself that I would make at least one Project Linus quilt a month. I thought that was doable, they're not too big, and I'll work my way through my scraps. So I came back, I ordered all the fabric that I had in my sewing room. I set aside areas just to keep Project Linus fabric in, and I made the bookcase quilt. So that was my last video. And then on the 26th of January, I had a commission quilt come in. And so I chatted with my customer. I agreed to make the quilt. I know what she wants. I've designed the quilt and I've ordered the fabric. So I thought, in the meantime, while I'm waiting for the fabric to come, I'll make another Project Linus quilt. And that's this one, with the lovely monkeys on. And as you can see, this one is complete. I've washed it, it's dried. It's just a matter of packing off now, ready to go to Project Linus, and it's really lovely. And my fabric still hasn't arrived. So let me tell you more. It's a bit frustrating. Well, my customer wants this quilt for her daughter, and she wants it in white, lilac, and lots of different pinks. So I've ordered 3 sets of fabric. The lilac and the white have arrived. It's the pink I'm waiting for. And she wants it like a scrappy quilt. So I've ordered a good selection and it still hasn't come. And today is the 6th of January. And so I'm thinking, what do I do now? So according to the order form, the fabric has been dispatched. It's on its way to me. But I'm just thinking, is that something they just say when they've lost an order? Or is it genuinely on its way? Will it be coming today or tomorrow? I've tried contacting them to no avail. So do I go out now, buy more fabric, or do I fill my time with something else? It's very, very frustrating. So I'm trying to stay proactive and I'm filling my time with little jobs that I need to keep up with. So I've completed my journal. So there is details about the bookcase quilt. I found a lovely little poem about that. And I've also put details of this Friends of the Jungle quilt. So that's all up to date. And one of the things I wanted to do this year was to make a quilt out of solid fabrics. I've never used just solids before. So there's the design, it's almost finished. Well, you get the idea. It's a rainbow quilt, and then the background is going to be either in a navy or a black, and then this will be a taupe or a beige, and then we have all the colours of the rainbow. So I think that will look really modern and bright, and I'm looking forward to making that one, but I can't do that yet. That's too big and I haven't ordered that fabric. And I can't show you the design for this quilt, this commission quilt. It's called the Queen of Hearts, there's a clue. And that's the lilac and that's the white. It will be so pretty, but like I say, can't do anything yet. But I could cut some of this up and be prepared. Okay, let me show you this week's quilt. It's all about using up scraps of fabric. So when I came back from Project Linus and I sorted all my fabric out, I had a bag of processed fabric pieces which were 3 inches and 4 3/4 inches that I'd set aside to make friendship stars with. So let's have a look at how the quilt came together. And the way I've processed these friendship stars is to put one 3-inch square and one 4 3/4-inch square together. That will make one friendship star. So this will be the centre block, and then it'll have the 4 star points. So you can see I have sorted out this sort of jungly themed fabric. So we've got that design, which is on a clear white background. And then there's this design, which is a creamier background, and then this design. So I have here 3 in that design, 3 in that design, and 12 in that design. And there's no more in my collection of this fabric, and so I'm going to try and think of a design, a friendship star design quilt that will use up all of these lovely fabric pieces. Well, at the moment, I've placed the blocks like that. So the 3s I've named as A and B. So we've got alternate blocks. So AAA, BBB in the centre. And then the collection of 12, well, I've only used 10 of those. I've called those C. Put those down the edges, the bottom and the sides. And now I need to try and find something to go for the 4 cornerstones. And so I'm looking for 4 cornerstones. I have 5 in the koala with this peachy points. I have 6 of these llama, and then the rest there isn't enough of. So I can discount the pale backgrounds. So it's going to be a contrast in the 4 cornerstones. So I think my choice is between these 2. And now I need to decide on the background fabric, and that will help me choose which of these 2 I'll put with those others. And for the background, I've decided to use this lovely Dan Morris fabric. It's all the colours, and I think that sort of gives it a woodsy, jungly type feel. But I'm not too keen with adding these 2 pieces with it because I think they're just too much of a contrast. But I think I might add rainbows. It's got the earthier tones in, some of that rust, and there's different blues and greys which appear in these fabrics. Okay, let's go back to the design board. But I have got this really lovely warming yellows and golds, mustardy fabric that I think would really lift that quilt. So there isn't very much, there's probably a fat quarter. So I'm going to have a look and see if I can get a sort of ribbon design around these friendship stars, see if there's enough. And the ribbon design around the friendship star is formed by putting different colours in the cornerstone. So you put another half square triangle in each of these 4 corners, and as they touch they form these narrow ribbons that wind around the friendship star. Now I definitely haven't got enough of this fabric to go through all of these cornerstones because I'll need 20 squares and I haven't got that many. Okay, let's see what we can do. So you're probably thinking to yourself, why don't you just go out and buy some more fabric? Which I could have done. However, I have a small room and I like to keep everything contained in this room. I don't want it to overspill into other areas of the house. And I like to think that everything I have is manageable. If I had too much stock, I think I might become overwhelmed with that. And so I like to make a small collection, really, make quilts, and then go and buy some more. And so this particular quilt, the limitations are presenting me with a challenge. How can I create something that I think is beautiful, that I think someone will love, with just what I have in hand? And I'll show you how I did that. So if I just put cornerstones on these blocks, then I'll have a nice little bright centerpiece to the quilt. And then if I put a little border around the outside in another bright orange or yellowy colour, something to complement it, that would bring that out. And so the green background will wrap around these friendship stars in the centre. Now I'll carry that out to do the borders. Well, I think that will look nice, and it's approximately 38 by 45. So that exceeds the minimum requirements. So if you do have some excess fabric and you feel like making some quilts for Project Linus, don't get hung up about the size. Get in touch with your local chapter because they do take a range of sizes. I think mine will take anything that I give them. However, they have said they prefer their sizes to be just over 36 by 42. Larger, great, but they prefer them to be bigger. Those are the sort of minimum sizes rather than smaller. But like I say, they're just grateful to take anything that we make as long as it's made with love. Okay, let's get cutting and we'll see what this looks like. Well, the centre of this quilt is made up with 6 friendship stars and they each have a golden cornerstone. And the individual blocks look like that. So you can see we have the points of the star and the half square triangles with this lovely dark green. And the cornerstones are the gold and the green half square triangles. So there's 6 of those and they're laid out like that. So I'll sew those together. And then I have 10 of these friendship stars. So you can see there's 2 green cornerstones there. And then there's the half square triangles with the green and the gold. So I'm going to put 2 of those at the top and 2 of those at the bottom. And there you can see 2 at the top and they've got the green on the outside and the gold facing towards the centre. And then we scoot down to the bottom row and we have the 2 green on the outside and the 2 half square triangles in the green and gold facing up. So I'll join those together and that will be the centre column complete. So that's looking nice. I'm going to put the 2 side panels on now and they complete the on-point squares in the orange and then there's a darker edge. And that's the 3 blocks for each side with the half square triangles in gold pointing to the centre and then they'll create on-point squares. And we've got this dark that follows around. And I've got 4 cornerstones that I need to add to these columns. And those are the 4 cornerstones. So they have the green blocks in the 3 corners of each. And then we just have the gold and green half square triangle in one corner. And that's the central part of the quilt put together. In an ideal world, I would have used that gold to create a small inner border before I put the darker border on the outside. Unfortunately, using up all of these scraps, there isn't enough. But I have got an alternative and I'll show you what that looks like. So this is what I've got in my stash. So this is what I'm going to use. I'm going to create a narrow border with this and then I'll put a deeper border around the edge in that. And so it's another start to another week. My bobbins are filled, the walking foot is on. And my Friendship Star jungle themed quilt for Project Linus has been basted. The label is on and I'm ready now to start quilting. So I'm going to go into a robust crosshatch and I'll see you on the other side. Well, here's a little close-up of these Friendship Stars. It's all quilted, it's finished now. You can see them all dancing around. So it makes a nice little I Spy quilt. I'm sure a child somewhere will have a hug from this and lots of games to be played. And that's it finished. It is 38 inches wide by 46 inches long. And the binding is in the same green shell colour as the narrow border. And I think that's helped to lighten that dark. Although young children really like to see a contrast between light and dark. So I think that will work out really well. And I'll show you the back. And that's the pieced back. You can see the cross hatching of the quilting on that. It's very soft. I'll get that washed, packed up. And that's another one for Project Linus. And the trouble with making and designing quilts is as soon as you've made one, you're always ready for the next one. And I'm just looking at this and thinking, with this lovely dark background and this inner border, if this was just a plain deep dark border, and then another inner border, and then you could have some more stars going around that, making it a much larger quilt. Or even if you wanted to make it sort of patriotic and have it red, white and blue, stars in the centre, and you could just have lines coming around the outside, stripes, have a stars and stripes one. There's not going to be enough years left, is there, to make all of these quilts that we want to make. Well, that's it for this week, and I'd just like to say thank you very much if you're still with me, and take good care of yourselves. I'm just going to go and have another slice of birthday cake. I must get it up and freeze it, or else I'm going to get high on sugar. Take very good care of yourselves, and I'll see you again next week. Thanks for watching. Bye.